What's up, man?
Just realized my microphone wasn't on. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you, man?
Okay. Good, man. Good. Closed on another sub two on Monday.
Awesome.
So yeah.
What's the deal with that one?
That's the one I brought up like briefly 2 or 3 weeks ago whenever I was last in here. It's turnkey, like super nice metal roof. We're gonna wrap it. 16K entry. Um, should cash flow like 500 or 600 a month.
Nice. You looking to get all your cash out of it when you wrap it, or you think you'll be able to get most of it out?
Yeah, I think we'll be able to get 20 at least.
Really?
Maybe 25. Yeah.
What's the price point?
Just under 200.
So you think you're gonna get 10% down?
Hmm.
Amazing. We're not seeing that right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess it just really depends on where you are.
Hmm.
But yeah, we're not really seeing that too much. There are absolutely some people out there that have it. Like I just had someone was it yesterday? No, yeah, yesterday. She's like, "Hey, I'm looking for a house in um Radnor, Alabama. I think it's Radnor. Is that right? I think so. It's one of these towns that is also a town in Pennsylvania. I think it was Radnor. Um,
Okay.
Hold on.
and she's like, I got 30 grand to put down.
Yeah.
Just so happened that there was
You're
an auction
coming the wrong game.
today there. So of course we tried to reach out to it. I don't think we got it. I don't think we got a hold of them, but yeah, she had 30 grand to put down. She's looking like a 200,000 price point. So she's easily got 15% down.
Yeah. That's awesome. I don't know how many there are, so I'm kind of worried that if I start doing them, like I don't know what the market's like, if I just am getting lucky right now, or if there are actually a lot of people with it. So I kind of am feeling that out. But,
Yeah, I mean, are you getting more than one person interested in your deals? Or are you just getting
um,
having one person and they like it?
I have a lot of people messaging me, but like as far as qualified-ish people go, there's usually like one or two serious, and then um, that's sort of what I'm seeing at least.
Yep.
I haven't done enough of them to really know.
No, it's kind of the same thing we're seeing. A lot of interest.
Mhm.
Like here, I want to show you just to give you a better idea. Where is my Facebook? Let me get rid of the chat. Is it really, I was gonna say, is it really possible that I have no Facebook open right now? I have it open. Close this.
But I've only been doing marketplace. I haven't been putting it on all the random buy sell groups yet.
You need to.
Yeah.
You really do. I'm gonna show you though. So it's going really slow right now for some reason. Okay, so here's one that we have in Huntsville. It's got 762 clicks on the ad. Man, this is going slow right now. Holy
You
cow.
boost them?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
These are all the people that, messaged us, but this one's got 762 clicks on it. This isn't the
Mhm.
only ad for this house. We also have, maybe that is the only one for that house. Actually, I thought we had more than one for that house. Yeah, that one, that we just got this house, but yeah, it's got 762. Then this is a house in Montana. We've got two of those ads running. We've got 1,500 or 1,449 on this one and 179 on this one for the Montana house. Then this is our Talladega house. We got 451 clicks on this one and 247 on this one. And then we had a
Hmm.
couple other ones that we've gotten rid of. We closed them out and deleted them. So
Yeah.
we're getting a ton of interest. I mean, this one's got this one's been up for a long time. It's got 6,000 clicks on it. But like Don't take your ads down.
Yeah.
Right? If you have something on Facebook Marketplace, don't take it down. Let it just sit there. Because it's like a breeding ground for buyers, right?
Yeah.
People will, we're still getting them now. People are coming in and asking us if this house is available.
Those young men are going to be famous forever, long after you voted them out or dead and forgotten.
And I think what you say about,
Can we mute that person?
because what they did was they brought a bullhorn onto the floor. They had
iPad.
and their mics were cut.
Yeah, hold on. I don't see everyone right now. So
Half was by their actions. And what they were calling for was just change to gun laws.
What they
boom. Okay. Yeah, I mean, like you can see, this thing has been, we sold this house months ago,
Uh-huh.
and we're still getting messages today. Every day we're getting, look how many messages we're getting on this thing daily. And we sold it months ago. So it's way more beneficial if you've got one that's in your area. Like, unfortunately, this one was in Anniston. We don't ever plan on buying another house in Anniston. So we got to like take them and hope that they're willing to move closer to Birmingham in areas where we're going to actually have properties. But yeah, this is why you do not ever cancel your, even if they're sold, never mark them as sold. Never, ever, ever mark them as sold.
Okay. Yeah, so the first one we only had 74 clicks and then got a guy with 30 grand. So
that's amazing.
And
that's
then
amazing. Find more properties in that neighborhood.
And then I got the one that I just posted a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. We got 1,899 clicks. That's the one I was just telling you about, the one we got under contract on Monday. But we boost them. I do like $8 a day for like 6 days.
That's a lot. 8 a day. I've boosted in the past too. I usually boost $6. 8's a lot. That gets you a lot of exposure.
Yeah, so I'm just doing that, and then hopefully, I mean, I got a couple of showings out of it, so I think it'll go pretty quick.
Amazing. That's awesome. Are you just gonna do single wrap? You're not gonna do double note or anything, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Keeping it simple.
That's all right. What's up, Tyler?
What's up? How y'all doing?
Doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing great. Got that sub 2 deal closed today.
Yes. Congrats.
When we talked about 3 weeks ago.
Congrats.
Yep.
What's the plan with it?
Well, I assigned it to an end buyer.
Okay.
Yeah, during my contract. I found a
Okay.
buyer pretty quickly and assigned it over.
So you assigned a sub 2 to a homestead buyer.
Well, what I did was I had the contract with the seller, a purchase agreement, and I found an end buyer. The title attorney told me to do an assignment contract over to them, and then they kind of drew everything up. But what I really did in the end was I got a little bit of a higher down payment, and made about $3,500 on the down payment, and then I put a second mortgage on the property for my monthly payments. So I have like a second position.
So you didn't assign it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
definitely didn't assign it.
Yeah. I don't know what I did. I just
yeah. So the reason I said that when you said you assigned it, I don't know if we've ever had this conversation on these calls. Somebody brought this up to me the other day of assigning a sub 2 to a homestead buyer. I'm extremely uncomfortable with that. Not because I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can make money. But what's happening when you're buying a sub 2 deal? The seller is trusting you with their mortgage, correct? So when you are wrapping it, you're still involved in the deal. You're still in control of making those payments. Once you assign it and you step away from the deal, you're putting this other person's credit in the hands of someone you've never met before. You're not going to be involved anymore. You just have to hope that it goes okay. Now, if you get the blessing of your seller to do that, and you run them through an RMLO or whatever, and your seller is completely cool and signs off on that, then that's on them. But personally, I had one the other day, and I said no to it. So I personally do not think it's ethically correct to assign a sub two to an end buyer. That's my personal opinion. I'm not trying to tell anyone what to do. It's my personal opinion on it.
Right.
I do not think you assigned. I would bet a lot of money that you did not assign that to your end buyer. Because if you got a bigger down payment and you are getting monthly payments, you wrapped it.
Right. I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I ended up doing, was wrapping it. In the beginning, I thought I was doing like some sort of assignment, only because, just being in the wholesale world for so long, getting that purchase agreement, I actually did sign an assignment with the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to the closing, they kind of drafted up some new documents
Yes.
where the buyer took title actually and is responsible for the mortgage payments to the mortgage company. And then I put a second mortgage on the property to make his payments go up to that 1950 where I need it to be.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, I mean, there are certain closing attorneys that will do it this way. They're sort of giving you a mirror wrap and then
Okay.
creating a second for your additional.
Right.
Some of them like to do it that way. That's the way they learned it and that's the way they want to do it. I've had deals that went that way. But yeah, you definitely, whether that was the correct way to do it or not, you definitely didn't assign it. You probably mirror wrapped and then created that second for your additional proceeds. So, yeah,
Right.
you're doing that.
Right.
But amazing. It's awesome that you were able to find an end buyer before you actually had to close.
Yeah. I found it. I mean, really, I posted it. I blasted it out to my list, and I had some realtors that had buyers that wanted it, but I had someone that I known from like a long time ago. I used to work from a long time ago, and he's been kind of asking me like, "Hey, if you ever find a house in this area, it's fixed up, ready to go. Like I want it." So presented it to him, and he went ahead and got it.
That's
But
phenomenal.
yeah,
Obviously Pace, he doesn't talk about this too much really anymore, but he used to really, really talk about don't ever close on a sub two. If you're going to wrap it, make sure you have your wrap buyer first, so you're not exposed and all that. The truth of it is, it's not always that easy to find a wrap buyer. And there are times where you just have to get the deal closed, right? Especially if you're stopping an auction, which is a lot of the times when we're buying sub twos, sub twos are always some sort of a situation, correct? Like someone in a perfect scenario is not selling their house sub two. There's got to be some pain, right? So a lot of times we have to close it as quickly as possible, and especially if there's an auction involved. So it's just not always possible to have a wrap buyer ready to rock and roll.
yeah. I was prepared to close if it would have went south with my end buyer. I was going to take it down because I knew I needed to. These sellers, I mean, they weren't going to be. They were 3 months behind, and they weren't able to make that next payment, and they were banking on getting this down payment from the sub two to get their other place to get out of there. And I mean, if my end buyer wouldn't have closed today, I would have just took it down and tried to figure it out later. Would have found somebody else for it.
Yep. So I don't know what I listened to a Zoom today from Pace. I think it was the most recent Q&A. I think it might have been like a 28th or something like that. And he mentioned that there was a Zoom on Friday. I'm assuming this was last Friday. Does anyone know? Was anyone on the Zoom? He brought in his mortgage guy that's like nationwide and can remove DTI. Was anyone on that Zoom by chance? No.
Nope.
I'm gonna have to dig around and see if it's in the Kajabi vault. Because I think that's one that we all should listen to. Because Pace Forever has been talking about how easy it is to remove DTI. Get the sub two mortgage off their DTI, but so many people struggle with it. And I think just like anything else, it's who do you have working on it for you? And if this guy does, Pace said he works in 48 states, so I'm assuming it probably doesn't include Alaska and I don't know what other states are like no-nos, maybe like Illinois or something like that. I don't know what other state he wouldn't work, maybe New York. But if that's an option for us, you know, we can absolutely guide our sellers of, you know, have the conversation of, hey, listen, it's not, you can't just walk into Regions Bank. You can't just walk into Bank of America. You can't just walk into whatever random bank you want and expect to be able to get this removed from your DTI. But if we work together and you'll go to the resources that I recommend you go to, we have a better chance of getting the DTI removed. Right. So, is that the Zoom link?
It's for March 28th.
Oh, that's for the Q&A. Is that the Q&A?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's the one I listened to, or I haven't finished it yet. And he mentioned that on Friday. So what date of 28th was on Tuesday? So it would have been the 31st
Okay.
of March. So if somebody could find that in the Zoom, it may not be in there yet, but there's probably something. It's going to be coming because they record everything.
Yeah.
I don't know what it would be labeled under. I don't know if it would go under like random Zooms or an insurance Zoom if they have a category for that. But it's going to be a really important one because the DTI question comes up. We have people all the time that are like, hey, well, if I sell you this house this way, how am I going to buy another house? And we can have the conversation and explain to them that, like, you know, there's a chance that we can get this done. But if we know we have a resource who's good at it and that's what he does, then we can speak in confidence to our sellers that this is not going to be an issue. And maybe they don't get 100% removed, but if they can get 75% of that payment removed from their DTI, that should solve the problem. You know?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, all right. So people are starting to trickle in here. Yes, it's been light the last couple weeks. I think spring breaks have been killing us, and I think Pace has been doing some kind of challenges and stuff too. So that hurts us too. But that's all right. All right. One of the things I always want to go over is interest rates. Does anybody know where interest rates are right now?
6.2-ish.
That is correct. 30-year fixed right now is at 6.18. And 30-year FHA is at 5.78 right now. So mortgages had a fantastic week. It took a massive, massive drop this week. Every bit of economic data that came out was negative. So that was very good for mortgages. We'll see what happens tomorrow. The employment numbers come out tomorrow, and hopefully they're bad as well. And mortgages will go into the 5% range. But literally all week, every bit of economic data has been bad. So I mean, all signs are pointing toward recession. How bad the recession will be, who absolutely knows? But you know, in my eyes, recession's good because recession will mean lower interest rates, and lower interest rates means hedge funds get back involved because everyone's getting too good of a yield on their bonds right now. So they're not getting involved in houses because they're like, hey, I can go get bonds safely for 5%, 5.5%. Why do I want to play in any other asset? Well, now that bonds are getting crushed, they're only getting 3% now on their bonds. They're going to start getting back involved in houses. I know for a fact there's a bunch of very big hedge funds that are like having the conversation on a daily basis of, we're going to get back in. No, let's wait. No, let's get back in. No, let's wait. So I think if we get back below 5% on mortgages, and it seems like we're going to stay there, I think you're going to see some of these really big hedge fund players get back involved full time. I know one of them for a fact is looking to buy, they need to spend $2 billion. So it's a lot of houses.
It won't be in Louisiana though.
Yeah, probably not. No, I don't know. I don't know if it will be. He hasn't told me. They haven't given him the full details yet. When he first told me about it, he said they're looking to buy. Originally he said they wanted to buy 2,000 houses a month. No, I'm sorry, 2,000 a quarter they wanted to buy. And I said, well, I sure as heck hope it's nationwide because that's way too many in one market.
Yeah.
So yeah, he thinks that's probably going to be the case. They'll probably be nationwide. And what he say last time I talked to him? It was something like they lowered their expectations. It wasn't going to be like, I think they want to spend a can't be a billion. Maybe it's $1 billion a quarter for the next 5 quarters. They want to spend something ridiculous. So I will let you guys know when they turn on though. But yeah, I'm hearing a bunch of them starting to dip their toe back in. Except I did hear some news this week from Brandon that there were a couple funds that dumped some of their houses in Huntsville. Like dumped for like a $50,000 loss. So we think it could be a couple things. After looking deeper into it, they grossly overpaid and they were asking way too high a rent. I think someone came in and didn't really understand the market. Huntsville is not a real good cash flowing market. And they tried to put a rent rate at like $2,900, lowered it to like $2,500, lowered it to $2,200, didn't get any bites. And then they pulled it, listed it for like 300, dropped it 50 grand, couldn't sell it. And I think they finally pulled their listing. But they just didn't understand the market. So. All right. So who has anything going on right now?
I got a deal I'd like for everybody to look at, maybe get
Yeah,
some
man.
in on it. I don't know if you want me to share my screen or what, but
Yeah, hold on a second. You can share your screen.
what's that? Let me see.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a deal out here in New Orleans, and it's basically this house right here together with this lot. And the ARV on this is about 130, and the lot's probably about 10,000. It's worth about 10,000. The problem with the property is or with the seller is that the seller is out of town. He's dealing with some medical issues. The property was I guess it was behind on taxes, and somebody had picked up a tax lien on it back in 2015. So they have a % interest in the property. And both of these properties actually, one each. And to satisfy what they want, which I think is excessive, they're asking $25,000. The seller doesn't really want to sell it cash. He owns it free and clear, but he knows that he's not going to walk. He wants to do something creative where he can basically stretch out and maximize the price that he gets. So I told him that, we could possibly maybe catch up everything to where he gets a clear title, so that way I can actually buy it, catch up with the 25,000 that the seller or the tax lien holder wants. And then maybe we could do something to where we owner finance the remaining equity. But
What's your exit strategy on this, Tone?
to wrap it to a retail buyer that would want the house with the lot. And I mean, the house is in decent shape. These are the photos. This is the front of it.
What is your concern?
The concerns that the down payment's too high for
The down payment's too high because you can't pay off the lien?
No, the down payment is just higher than a traditional down payment than a conventional, because it's only worth maybe 130, 140 all fixed up. I mean, it doesn't really need much work to be fixed up. I would say a bathroom, maybe some carpet replacement or whatever, but otherwise it's in decent shape. It's a 3-bedroom. Well, it's technically a two bedroom. Or two, but it has an office. This right here is a room that has no window or closet, but if you added a window.
If you're wrapping it, it doesn't matter. That's a bedroom.
Okay, cool. So it's a
You're not putting it
3-bedroom.
on the MLS. You're not asking it to change it on tax records, but for all intents and purposes, a wrap buyer is going to look at that as a bedroom.
Right. So the rental rates for it will be about $13.50.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically telling the seller, and I was like, if I pay the lien off or get the lien person, the person that's holding the lien satisfied, then that's such a large down payment. I'm not going to be able to really give you anything at the closing table. And he's okay with that. I do plan to try to negotiate that lien holder down a little bit to see if I can get them to come down on what they want. But my intention was to mainly get the seller to owner finance me maybe 90 grand or less at 0%, and then wrap that to somebody and sell the whole thing for like maybe 150 or 140 with the down payment that's going to be needed to cover the satisfaction of the lien holder.
Okay, you want the easy answer on this?
Yeah.
Buy it on, well, I don't know what you guys call it in Louisiana, buy it on a contract for deed. The deed doesn't transfer, the lien stays in place, you sell it on a lease option. And when they execute the option, they pay off the full balance.
It's called bond for deed here.
Whatever you call it there, Louisiana, Louisiana's weird.
You got some weird real estate laws here. We're the only state.
But Tony, would that work for you?
What's the say that again?
You're going to buy it on a bond for deed, is that right? Bond for deed?
Yep.
Okay, you're gonna buy it on a bond for deed, so the deed doesn't transfer, which means you don't need to pay off the liens.
Okay.
Then you're gonna sell it or lease it with a lease option to an option tenant who's gonna give you a small down payment. They're gonna have a lease option. And when they go to execute their option, then it's their responsibility to pay that lien. Their option price is just enough to make sure they're paying off the lien, all existing liens on the property.
I talked to my attorney about the lien holder asking such a large amount, and he told me that they can really ask for whatever they want.
Mhm.
Happens if the lease option holder exercises his option, and then the person that's holding the tax lien decides that, oh no, I want more now.
Disclose it. Disclose that on your lease option. Yeah, or get the existing owner, get him to get something, and I don't know if it's allowed in Louisiana, but get him to get something in writing saying if at any point I pay this off, can we lock it in at a certain price? It'd be locked in for 10 years at 25,000. You can't raise it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's legal there, but it's worth a try. If you're worried about him deciding he wants more, but it's just doing it that way on a bond for deed, it doesn't trigger him, right? He's not going to even know the house sold because the deed didn't transfer.
Mm-hmm.
If a deed doesn't transfer, he doesn't get satisfied.
I guess my concern would be for the buyer though, the lease option holder. If they put a big option deposit, and they have
You're not going to get a big option deposit.
or if they put anything down
Yeah.
and they're expecting to exercise the option, and if the holder prevents them because they're encumbering it. Or even
They are going to have to, that's why I said, see if you can get the existing owner to get something in writing that like for the next X amount of years, this I can at any point in the next X amount of years pay off this lien for no more than 25,000 or whatever the number is he's saying now, just so he can't raise the number.
Right.
I think that could give you protection.
that might work. And
Get
then
something in writing from the lien holder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and say, look, we're gonna pay you off.
Like, don't tell him the whole plan.
No,
Don't let him
yeah,
know that you're looking to buy this. You don't want to be the one having the conversation. You want the seller to have that conversation of like, hey, listen, I don't know what I'm doing with this house, but like, if I want to, if he wanted to lease option it, he would be restricted possibly as well. I would like to get something in writing where if no matter what, in the next 10 years, if you're asking 25 right now, you're going to guarantee it's not going to go up. It can't go up for 10 years or something like that.
yeah.
Or
So
really, it'd be 3 to 5 years because most of these options are 3 to 5 anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting situation.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. So you don't think that having a buyer come in even with the 30,000 would be just too high of a payment, even at that price point?
I mean, yeah, would you say it was a 150 ARV?
Probably not even that.
Yeah, you're looking for somebody to come in more than 20% down. It could happen, but you can't bank on that.
But if I could though, then that would be enough to get the lien holder out the picture. And now I just need to work on the seller being willing to owner finance
Sure.
really the as is value minus the lien, 30,000. That doesn't go towards him, and then the repairs are like 10. I'm just thinking like that too.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely have some options. I just don't know that. I mean, if you're gonna pay it off, then I would go to the lien holder and say, hey, listen, either we're gonna do this deal or we're not gonna do this deal, but we're not paying you 25,000. So we'll give you 15 or we'll give you 10 right now if you'll sign this. Otherwise, we're just gonna walk away and you're never gonna get satisfied on your lien because no one else is gonna buy this.
Yeah. Yeah, and depending on how much you could cash flow on financing their equity, it might be worth it to put 10 up front if you're cash flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you'll get the 10 back. You'll get 10 on a 150 house, easy. But you're not going to get. I mean, I don't know that market, but I have a hard time believing you're going to get basically 25 or 30 down to cover all your costs plus your closing costs.
Right.
Mhm.
Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Not in that area.
Right. I mean, we're seeing right now, we have, houses that we're marketing for the 125, 150 range. We're seeing people come in literally saying, I have $800 to put down. I have $2,000 to put down. It's like, you can't get into an apartment for that.
Yeah.
It makes you think you're going to be able to buy a house with $2,000 down. So, to go back to what we just talked about before this, realize we're entering a recession. People don't have a ton of disposable income sitting around right now. So we got to keep our expectations in check with how much we think people are going to come up with. There's always going to be somebody that's got 50 grand sitting on their mattress. We know that, but we can't bank on that one person coming in for our deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they gotta like your house still.
They still gotta like your house. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So bond for deeded, keep the deed in the seller's name. And then get something in writing from the tax lien holder that they're not going to go up on that, what they want. And then the bond for deed needs to be at a price that would reflect the as is value minus the lien, right? And then you would do a lease option with an end buyer at the price of both of those combined or more.
Or more, whatever number you can sell it at.
What kind of a term was it like a 3-year term? Is that
I'd go probably 5 years on it. 3 to 5 is normal.
Mhm.
Why I say 5 is because, again, we're entering a weird spot of the economy. If we are actually entering a recession, and if the market, I don't know that $150,000 neighborhood in Louisiana is really going to drop. But if you're in a market that does take a dip right now over the next year, you do want to give yourself time for it to rebound, right? Look back to 2008, 7, 8, 9. The market didn't really rebound until 12, 11, or sorry, till 12, 13, right? So if you had a correction like that and you only had 3 years, it may not rebound in time for your buyer to have a chance to execute. Now, worst thing that happens if they don't execute is that they move out and you do it over again. You find another option tenant.
what are your thoughts on this? Of maybe getting both, but then selling the lot separate from the house and lease option, and then making money on the front end with the lot maybe, because the lot's probably worth 10. Somebody probably paid 8 tomorrow for it.
Here's what when I see a lot like this in this neighborhood, my options are the house on the top and the house on the bottom. Do one of those two want it?
That's true.
Because who else is going to use that lot? You can't build a house on it. You'll lose money. What are you going to do with it?
Right.
If the neighborhood's selling at 150, you can't build a house.
Right. I know, but I'm just saying, like, to sell the lot separate to whoever.
No, I get that, but why? My question is, why are they buying it? What are they going to do with
He's
it?
saying who will buy it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they got people buying lots in this area
Really?
right now.
To do what?
I don't know. They're buying for here's lot sales. $2023, 10,000, 10,000.
Interesting. I wonder what they're buying them for.
We'll reach out to these guys right here, probably.
Yeah.
Those guys, and then maybe the neighbors, you know, is kind of what I was thinking. But I was just kind of thinking, you know, to make money on the front end. But now that you're saying the lease option, the way to make money on the lease option is you can get the option deposit, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the bond for D would be at a price that would be, what about the insurance for the house? Who would be responsible?
You're gonna need your own insurance on it, yes. The only thing you're not getting is the deed. So, your purchase price is not gonna be dictated by the fact that it's not an outright purchase. Your purchase price is still gonna be your purchase price.
Right.
Okay, the only thing that's gonna change is you're not getting the deed, and by not getting the deed, you can't truly wrap it. That's why I said you have to go to lease option. Because you can't wrap a deed you don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, Joel, why can't you build a house on that lot? You can't build a house in a community that's only worth $150,000 unless you know of a way to buy a lot for 10 grand and build a house for 100 and then sell it and pay a realtor and still make a profit. I don't know of a way to build a house for 100 grand. So just economics is the reason you can't. It would never be profitable.
Unless you could put like a mobile home on it or something.
If you were allowed, or I don't know if you could do some. Is it possible? Yeah, I guess in theory it is possible, especially at the 150 price point. But it's not highly likely unless that's your niche.
Yeah.
So you're saying as far as the insurance goes, because the seller would probably want to be protected, right? Because he still has the deed in his name.
He still has the mortgage in his name. He definitely has to be protected still.
Well, he doesn't have a mortgage, but
He doesn't have a mortgage at all?
no, he owns a free and clear.
Oh, okay.
The only thing he has that's going against him is that tax lien holder, kind of preventing him from selling it. And I mean, a cash sale would work too.
And you're just gonna get your own insurance.
So we would get and have the lease option person pay for it, or would
No,
No, they're just they're just tenants. They're just renting from you. They're lease options. They're getting renters insurance.
To own, and then we would keep up with the
Yeah,
insurance.
they're not owners. We want to act like they are, but they're just renters.
Gotcha.
They're glorified renters. They're renters with the option to buy. That's all that a lease option is. It's two contracts. It's a lease and it's an option to purchase.
Okay. So the seller would get insurance because it's in his name, and then we would pay him a note that covers the insurance plus
No,
maybe
you're gonna get your own insurance because you're buying the house. I was just concerned that there was an underlying mortgage. So you're not worried about there still being a bank that we're worried about the note or anything. You're gonna get your own insurance on it. You just don't have the deed.
you'd maybe add him as an additional insured if he
Maybe.
wanted to be.
If he wanted to, because he is technically holding a note who probably will want to be additionally insured.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get your own insurance anyway, because you're probably gonna get a better rate than he is.
Yeah.
You're probably gonna get a better policy than he's gonna have.
But yeah, Tony and Tyler, like bond for deeds are a great way to do exits when you're trying to wrap, because then you can theoretically evict people instead of foreclose on people if they
Theoretically.
don't pay.
Yeah.
Depending on the judge.
Yes, very much so.
Okay.
So that's how I'm doing my wraps, is I'm selling them on a bond for deed.
And you guys are in an excellent price point for that. Once you start going up over like the 250 price point, people get a little finicky about not getting the deed.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets harder to sell it that way. But yeah, in the sub 150 range, you shouldn't have a problem selling on contract for deed or whatever you call it. Deed for bond. I'm not gonna remember this term, so it doesn't matter.
What's it called in the common law? Is it contract for sale?
It's something different in every state. Like not every single state, but like here in Alabama, it's contract for deed. Or I'm sorry, it's land sale contract.
Okay. Yeah, well, I think this is a potential. I mean, I think it's a potential deal because the seller is willing to do pretty much whatever. He just doesn't want to take. He just doesn't want to walk away with 30 grand, you know, which is what he probably would walk away with on a cash offer. You know, because to make one 30, you gotta put 10 into it, and then, so the cash offer is probably around like 55, 60.
Yeah, if he's willing to give you 0 down, 0% financing, you can almost give him full price for the house.
Mhm.
Because as long as you hold the thing for 5+ years, you're gonna make so much more money that way. And he's gonna net a lot more money too. On paper, if he's smart enough, he's gonna realize, well, I'm not actually getting money and I can't really do anything with it, so I can't put it to work. But on paper, he's gonna make his full, 120 or whatever number he wants. You're gonna cash flow like crazy because you got a 0% interest loan. And you
Right.
didn't have to go out and get a second loan or anything like that. So it's a win for everybody. I think that's a perfect scenario if he goes for it.
So do you think that the price to him though would be the as is value? So if its ARV is 130 and it needs 10 with the work, as is probably about 110, maybe somewhere around there. Do you think that minus the tax lien of 25,000 should be his price?
I'll be. Now you have to protect yourself, but honestly, the price is irrelevant. The only reason the price is relevant is if your option buyer executed immediately. Right? Then you don't have any time to get pay down on your principal. But if it goes out 3 years and you've made 36 payments to 100% to principal, your payment doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Whatever he's happy with. I would sacrifice sales price to get all of your terms.
Yeah.
Now still shoot for as low as you can go, but like I would never give up a deal over 10 or 20 grand when you're talking about 0% interest.
Mm-hmm.
And just see what you can get with the option price too. Cause I mean, if you can get 130 or 140 or whatever with the option, then you don't really have much
Yeah, you're
to
still
worry about
protected.
there. Yeah.
Yep. Worst case scenario, you want it to be a wash and you're good to go. Right? If they execute immediately, you still don't lose money, right? You always need an exit.
Right. So the pitch to the seller is basically, look, well, I need you to get a document signed from the tax lien holder, so that way I can't buy it from you on owner finance traditionally because the down payment's just too high. I can't close this tax lien holder out because it just doesn't, the numbers don't pan out. Because they want too much money. So the only way we could really get this to work to where you get what you want and I get what I want is if we do a bond for deed where the title remains in your, I guess I'm just talking as if you're a seller. But the
Yeah,
title,
I would honestly like you're using terminology that we understand. Dumb it down.
okay.
Talk
Dumb
about
down.
it.
Your seller has no idea what the heck you're talking about.
Talk about it like the cars, like when you get a car loan. That tends to work with the sellers
Yeah.
or the buyers when you're trying to do a bond for deed. Just be like, it's basically like a car loan. You keep the title or the deed until I make all the payments, and
Yep.
then it transfers to me. That's the most simple way to explain
They
it,
will
I think.
understand that.
Unless they buy their cars with cash.
Right. Does this guy like actually know this second lien holder, or is it just some lien that happens to be on the house?
It's just a lien. The lien holder's savvy. She knows real estate pretty well. She has a leverage. She doesn't need to. She can ask for whatever she wants apparently, which is kind of crazy. But the tax lien that she bought was in 2015 for $2,500. So I think the state law is like 5% first year and then like 1% a month or something like that.
Okay.
If you calculated that, it would be like, like maybe 10,000 tops. So for her to add 25 is crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe she's accounting for inflation or appreciation of the asset. Maybe, I don't know, but
I don't know.
it seemed excessive,
But honestly, she's gonna be. You could let this thing ride forever. If you buy it on whatever, I forgot what the heck you called it.
Bond for
Bond for
deed.
deed. If you buy it on bond for deed, you could just rent it forever and never ever sell the house. And then she never has to get cashed out. She just has a lien there forever.
Until you eventually pay off the original seller, but
But no, there's still because then you would get the actual, yeah. No, I don't think so. No, yeah, I guess it would, because then the deed would transfer. You're right.
Yeah.
But you could probably,
And by that point, it'd be $150,000.
Yeah.
probably restructure with the seller, huh? Restructure with the seller and say, look, I'll keep paying you, just don't transfer the deed.
Or why don't you, or if you wanted to take the chance of blowing up your deal, go to the lien holder and say, listen, I know you bought this thing for $2,500. We're willing to give you 10 grand, but if you're insisting on getting a lot more, I'll give you some more, but it has to be on terms.
Yeah,
It's the only way it's going to make sense. Otherwise, this deal doesn't pencil out, and no one's going to be able to buy this house, and he's never going to sell it.
but what kind of terms would you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
You'd have to literally run the numbers. If you're going to do that route, you got to run the numbers.
Let me show you a mind map, man.
Yeah.
I mean-
There's a bunch of scenarios you could go here. It just depends on, do you want to ignore the lien? Do you want to try and dance around the lien? Do you want to attack the lien?
Right.
Problem is, if you go after the lien and she doesn't play ball, then the red flag's up.
That means she's waiting. She wants to.
And then she's gonna be looking at it and making sure the deed doesn't transfer. Or whatever. She's gonna make sure that the house didn't sell or whatever, So if you're gonna go that route, you gotta commit to it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. That was an interesting one.
Yeah.
That's probably one of those I just be like, I don't know, this seems way too complicated. I'll pass on it. All right, cool. Anybody else? Who else has anything going on?
I had a weird one, but I ended up walking away. But there was we got it under contract sub 2, and then there were 2 judgments on it. And in Louisiana, judgments are apparently automatically attached to property, which I didn't know. So they were small originally, like personal loan type things, where he didn't pay them. It was like $1,000 and like $2,500, and now they're both like 10 grand. So it was gonna work as a wrap, and it was gonna work as a flip, but with that extra 20 grand, that just like ate up all the profit. So I tried to negotiate with the lawyers, but they were kind of a-holes and wouldn't really talk to me. They wouldn't try. I tried to buy the judgments. They wouldn't do that. The guy was about to get foreclosed on too. So
Which means
it's
judgments
like,
get wiped away.
yeah. So I
That's
was like,
ridiculous.
look, like you could get something if you sell to me. I think maybe they thought I was going to buy it either way.
You can't
But
guarantee if it goes to auction, you're gonna buy it. There will be other
yeah,
people at the auction.
yeah, yeah. So I don't know if you guys have dealt with that. I guess I could have potentially done it on a bond for deed for the purchase, but then we would have just had too much money in it. It would have been like a 35K entry fee or something. So I don't know. Is there any way around that if we run into that in the future that you know of?
No, aside from getting them to settle it, I don't think there really is.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, hanging up, calling them back and hoping you get someone different, right? Like if it's a
Yeah.
big enough place, big enough collection agency, and you just like when we're calling banks, like just hang up and get somebody else. If you're talking to Bank of America, you can hang up 100 times and not get the same person,
Yeah.
right? So
They're just small law firms, like local
yeah,
ones.
and that might not work.
Yeah.
Sometimes deals just don't work out.
I already paid for the TC though, so I'm out $1,000 on it.
Will they,
Dang
I don't
it.
know if they, like we do, if we're trying to stop an auction, we pay the TC, and they don't stop the auction, we pay half
Mhm.
because they did the work, right?
Yeah.
They didn't do any paperwork, but they still sat on hold for a day and a half.
Yeah.
So we pay $500 for that instead of 1,000 for the whole TC.
Yeah. Yeah. I should have asked. We're using the same one you are, so
Okay.
they probably would have.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Well, it was a learning experience. I learned about judgments in Louisiana and how it sucks.
Yep. Amanda just chimed in on the chat and she said most of the time they'll settle on something, but I guess if they aren't willing to play. Amanda, can you unmute? I'm really curious about this one that's 8 months in. Are you guys not somewhere you can?
Yeah, no, sorry. Kinsley's home and Jeremiah is out, so we're sitting there watching TV.
Nice.
Yeah, no, I've most of the time everyone I've had, I've probably had 6, 7 that had judgments and they all settled on something.
Okay.
But I do have one. It is a 7-pack and it is, I think, on month 8. And we are still unable to close on it because the lady isn't willing to pay the few, like a few of them got settled. And then I think there was like 15 judgments against
Wow.
between the 8 properties. But yeah, so it's just, I don't know, they've gone back and forth like for months, obviously, and they just are not willing to budge on the rest of them. So they're trying to figure out different ways. And I think the seller honestly is just hoping because a few of them got settled for, 1,000 versus the 5-10,000, that she's just refusing to let them to do anything. She's just not going to pay them. But it's a very daunting. I mean, if you really want a property, but if they're going to go in foreclosure, there's nothing you can do. Like that stinks.
Yep.
Yeah, they came down from like 10,000 to 8,300. They're like, does that help?
Boy, that
Like,
helps a lot.
No, not at all.
Oh, that stinks.
You reduced it by the amount that he owed you originally.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy the interest they get on those things.
Yep.
That's why they do it.
Yeah. And they were collateralized too, but it was like a TV, a lawnmower, 3 sheds. He didn't have any sheds ever. I was like, if it's collateralized, why didn't they just get the collateral? Well, shouldn't that have cleared the loan? But I think they maybe knew there wasn't any collateral and still did it just so they could charge their massive interest rates and hope that someone buys it eventually.
And we're the bad guys coming
Yeah.
in trying to buy a house, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Banks and collection agencies, and they're all ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
We had a very interesting scenario happen this week that I've never had happen before. We had an auction property that we were talking to last week. Just like everyone else who's going through an auction, she claims she had no idea that there was an auction on her house. She had no idea there was any kind of problem. Meanwhile, this was last Thursday and her auction was Tuesday of this week. So we finally get her to pick her head up out of the sand long enough to sign a contract on Friday. She doesn't sign it till Friday night. Get it over to our TC Friday night. She's like, all right, well, obviously I'll work on this on Monday. Bank's closed over the weekend and nothing we can do. She gets on the phone all day Monday and she's got somebody at the bank. We submitted it. They acknowledged that they received the contract. I said, all right, well, it's out of our hands at this point. Like all we can do is cross our fingers and we have no idea if it's going to go through. They told us that they received the contract. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, that's one of the ways you can get an auction stopped is by providing a contract, a legally binding contract to the bank stating, hey, I have a buyer for this house, but we need more time to close. So they'll usually extend your auction 30 days if you can provide them with a contract, but they still have to have long enough to process that contract, which is usually a minimum of 24 hours. So Tuesday morning comes, I don't hear anything. I'm watching auction.com. It still shows that it's scheduled for 10 a.m. I'm watching, and then at like 11 o'clock rolls around, I hit refresh on my computer and it says sold at auction, auction complete. So I'm like, all right, well, we didn't think we were gonna save it, but that really sucks. This lady's like her and 3 kids. She has nowhere to go. She claims not even have had any idea this was gonna happen. That's the reality of some of these people. They just have their head buried in the sand. Like, I promise you've been getting mail for months. You just chose not to open your mail and act like there wasn't bad news in there. So especially because banks are going to send it to you certified mail. So you literally signed for it, right? You just still chose not to read it. So in my brain, I wrote it off. That's one deal we're just not, even though we had it, that's one contract we're not going to perform on. I get a message from our TC yesterday and she says, hey, really strange. I just got an email from, what bank was it? I don't remember what bank it was. Whatever. I just got an email from whatever bank. And the case has been assigned, the account has been assigned a caseworker. Like, well, that's really weird. It's sold at auction. Why is it being assigned a caseworker? Like, all right, the only thing I can think of is that it didn't sell and the bank took it back. But because we had our paperwork in, they may still give us the property. They may actually put it back into her name, give her account, put her account back in standing, decent standing. It's not gonna be good standing because we haven't paid the arrears. But it'll still be her account. And she checked again today and they said, yes, your account has been, we'll give you more information as we know more information, but you have been assigned a caseworker on this case. We will just stay tuned and we'll let you know. So again, I think the only logical explanation is that it didn't sell at auction, which makes a lot of sense because it's not the greatest deal in the world. Is one of those that we did the deal just to save the house, just to give her a little more time to go out on her terms rather than the bank's terms. So it looks like that one may come back to life, which is pretty cool. So it'll be the second time we've ever had a deal that actually went to the auction that we still end up buying. So that'll be awesome. But yeah, that just happened on Tuesday and today. But we are dealing with a boatload of auctions right now.
Were you gonna wrap that one, Jeremy?
That is probably the only exit that makes any sense. Yeah. Yeah, it's there's not enough room to even like wholesale it, I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the only way is to wrap it, and we may have to leave money in it. So yeah,
Sounds
auctions are where it's at right now.
sounds like a good list to hit right before they go to auction. Get a contract.
We're getting 30 leads a day right now.
Whew.
How
It's
many
been-
markets?
Like 20.
Yeah.
We're only sending out like initial messages, 200 to 300 initial messages per day, and we're getting like 20 to 30 leads per day from that.
Nice.
So it's like yesterday was bonkers. It was nonstop all day. We got one in if any of you guys know North Carolina, we got one on the Outer Banks today. Kill Devil Hills.
Cool.
It's a $620,000 house. We got it for 200 grand.
Woo.
It's gonna be a full gut, but
Yeah.
we're gonna put $200,000 into it. We'll be in it for 400. It'll be worth 625.
You
So
flipping it or short-term rental or what? What's
we're
it
never gonna
be?
sell that thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna hold it. Yeah, we'll probably short-term rental it.
Nice.
I mean, there's only so much property on the Outer Banks. It's not going anywhere. Like they're not building more land on the Outer Banks.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be fantastic for us. As soon as that came through, so all right. all of you that have an acquisitions guy or gal or are thinking about having one, my acquisitions guy sends me a text and said, "Hey, we don't want a condemned house, do we?" So, well, probably not, but you should still probably run it by me. So he sends me the address and I'm like, yeah, we want to buy that one. He's like, oh, really? You clearly don't know where that is. Get it under contract immediately.
Yeah.
So we this story is a fun one. So we started, I'll be honest, like we suck as business owners. We're absolute, Dave and I suck. We should have done this 2 years ago, but we just started doing call calibrations. It's for all kinds of various reasons. Our acquisitions guy was using his personal cell phone. We didn't have the ability to do it, or we just never took enough time to make it be important in our business. That's our bad. Don't ever do that in your company. So we started listening to all his calls, and we listened to our other acquisitions guys' calls, listen to our TC managers' calls, listen to everybody's calls now. And I listened to this one, and the seller said something that he didn't even catch on to. She said, hey, I already sent all the photos over to Eric. And our acquisitions guy was like, oh, okay, well, I don't see him here in the account. So can you just like take a picture of your mortgage statement and send it over to me? And then she said something again about like, yeah, I already gave that to Eric. And so I got done listening to the call and I called him. I was like, hey, True, we don't work with an Eric. You know that, right? He's like, yeah, I didn't know what she was talking about. I said, she's talking to another investor who is about to buy the house. Get the house under contract. So we got it locked up. Got it locked up last night, and today Eric sent her a contract.
Wow.
Because then he still didn't tell her that Eric doesn't work for our company, and so today in another message with our TC, she says, oh, by the way, Eric just canceled the contract that he had sent me. So I was like, okay, thanks.
Speed wins.
Exactly. Just lock it up, please.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that was probably the first time that's ever happened to me. Where like I've lost deals like that where we were talking to somebody and then we call them the next day and they're like, sorry, I'm already under contract. But yeah, it's the first time that I ever won it. Yeah, that was a good feeling. I bet Eric's pissed.
Yeah.
He knows it was a really good deal too. Like we could literally just turn around and assign this contract probably for 75 grand. But we're not. We're going to keep it. It's just
Nice.
one of those deals that doesn't come around very often, but when it does, just count your lucky stars.
Mm-hmm.
You know. All right. Who else has anything going on? Ray?
I have a question. It's a for sale by owner.
Okay.
It's all equity, and that's basically what he's asking for is equity. He's already got the house paid off free and clear. The house rents for 1,100, can go up to 1,300. And it's in Northwest Arkansas. I know it's not a big investor area, but there's
like
a lot of
that
people.
area.
What part of Northwest
Everybody's buying.
Arkansas?
I like Northwest Arkansas.
And I mean, I basically just started talking and vetting him out, but he's a for sale by owner. He's not in any hurry to get rid of it, but he is trying to sell it. It's a 1958 2-bed, 1-bath.
Ooh,
That's the killer.
that's the killer. Yeah. Not the year, but the floor plan.
Right.
How big is it? What's the square footage?
1,008.
Oh, that's a big 2-1.
Yeah.
You can probably turn that into either a 2 1.5 or a 3 1.
It's got a attached garage
Uh-huh.
on it as well. It does have a storm cellar in the back. And that basically it's a turnkey, but because it's old, it still needs updates in the bathrooms. The bathroom. Everything else is the roof's brand new. The HVAC's brand new. So they've done some work, a little bit of work on the house. They just had to change the bathroom. The house, it's got some carpet in there, which the carpet looked fine, but the walls do probably need some paint.
It's not a big deal.
So, because the walls got pictures of things on them. So, but that's basically what I seen. The cash flow on it would be if he accepts seller finance. I'm still working on that. The cash flow would probably be close to about 279 if you did the 1,100. And then the cash on cash return would be 1118 because it'd be about 3,353 if he goes for zero financing, just a down payment. So I'm basically trying to figure out how to actually present this deal because it'd be the first creative deal I've ever done.
Okay, so first question, there's two big questions. First question is, what is your exit strategy?
My exit strategy basically is to either my exit strategy is to wholesale it, but to wholesale.
Then you need to know what your buyer's exit strategy is, right?
Right.
You need to know what you're wholesaling.
Right. And so I'm one of my buyers. He is a fix and flipper. He's also wanting to lend out money as well, but he's a fix and flipper. So he wants basically 1,000. He doesn't care what bid bath. So I just didn't know the ARV on the house is less than what the seller wants because the ARV is actually at 170, 176.
So then why is it what the seller wants is irrelevant?
Right.
How long has it been on the market? This is not my second question.
7
How long has it
days.
been on the market though?
7 days.
Okay.
It's not, it's not even actually on the market.
It's about FISBO.
Yeah.
So he has no pain yet.
Right.
FISBO for 7 days is a very difficult conversation to have because the avatar of someone who goes FISBO is generally, I want more than the market will warrant. I'm going to do it myself. I don't want to pay a realtor. I want top dollar and I want every penny of it.
Right.
So where they become good targets is when it's been a FISBO for a long time. Okay. So I'm not telling you not to go after it. I'm just telling you, make sure you understand what a FISBO is.
And that's what I was basically trying to figure out. I know it's only been there for 7 days and I don't know. Right now from talking to him on the phone today, he's like, basically, I didn't feel like he was motivated to just get rid of the house.
He's not yet.
So I just didn't know if I just should wait or try to go creative. But
yeah,
I know cash wise, I know because he's not motivated enough, he wouldn't accept my cash.
No, yeah, this is definitely not going to be a cash deal. But if you can do one of two things, you can either just have a conversation with him and just say, "Hey, listen, I know you probably want to give this some time, but here, I'm here as an option for you. If this doesn't work out and you get frustrated with waiting on the market, housing prices are not getting stronger right now; they're just getting weaker. So if you want to have a conversation, we can have that. Because going after him right now and giving him an offer is not going to work.
Right.
Is zero motivation. FISBO for 7 days. It's not going to work. So my other question was going to be, what's his motivation? And he doesn't have any.
Right. And that's what he didn't have any yet. So
so to go to him and try and say, like,
how
can I
should
do a
go with the
0% seller
conversation?
finance deal? Like,
Yeah.
why is he going to do that?
Right.
Right. Unless you are willing to overpay and you go to him and say, hey, listen, here's the facts about the market right now. The recent sold comps dictate that, you know, we're a 150 price point for your house and you're asking 175 or whatever the numbers are. But, you know, get him to understand that and say, you know, listen, I'm okay with overpaying, because that's what I would be doing. If I came to your 175, I would be overpaying by a lot, right?
Right.
Almost by 20%. So in exchange for overpaying for the house, I would be willing to do that if you would give me these terms. And it's cool if you don't accept these terms right now and you want to wait for someone to come along with cash, but we just went over what the market price point is for your house. No one's coming in as a cash buyer. A bank wouldn't approve that sale. So if you expect someone to get a mortgage and come in and pay 175 for a house that's worth 150, the bank appraiser is not gonna, they're gonna turn it down.
Right.
So if you do want to sell for 150, I'm your only option. And I understand if you want to wait and just call me back later when you don't sell it, because you're not going to. Like, if you want to have the conversation with him, and it has to kind of be a tough conversation,
Right.
and just let him know, like, we both acknowledge that you're crazy for doing this. It's not going to work. Right. If you do want to truly sell it at 175, I will buy it at 175, but only on these terms. So you'll get your 175. So you can go, you know, go tell all your friends that, hey, I told you so. I sold my house for 175 and I was top sale in the neighborhood. They don't have to know how you got it.
Right.
They don't have to know.
Because right now, I mean, right now the ARV for the house is 175. He's wanting 219 for it. He's got
ridiculous.
He's got 220 in equity in the house. Basically, it's all paid free and clear. The house, 2 houses down from his house, sold at 290. That's why he's trying to see if he can reach that 220.
It sold for 290.
But it sold, but that was a long time ago. It was basically 2 years ago. So that's why he's trying to reach that number.
What was the floor plan on that one?
It was still a 2-1.
And if it was 2 years ago, a 2-1?
Yeah.
I mean, the market's higher than it was 2 years ago.
So
market's definitely higher than it was 2 years ago.
Okay.
So, I mean, are there comps in that neighborhood that are more recent than 2 years? Are things selling in the neighborhood?
It's the rest of the houses, nothing has sold within the last 2 years. Over there.
Yeah, Arkansas, you kind of have to stretch out in the county to find anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a bit of a red flag too, because that means your buyer pool is going to be really limited. But yeah, that's really hard. If you have no sold comps within 2 years, that's really.
That was my other thing. It's like, I can't find comps for it because everything was 2 years ago. The earliest thing that sold in the area was 70,000, and that was 6 months ago.
How bad was that house?
Let's see. Not too sure, but I had only just saw it a few minutes ago.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. In my opinion, you're going through an exercise in this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, basically,
with the guy, you're putting in your
I took
reps.
it as I was trying to learn.
Yeah, you're putting in your reps.
The learning experience and everything.
Yep. Yeah, have a conversation, see how far along you can get it. If he's willing to talk to you, pitch seller financing. If he's willing to have that conversation, see how close you can get to striking a deal on it. But you have no comps. This is a really tough one. If you have a buyer that you think you could wholesale it to, then lock it up for wherever you can and see if your buyer likes it.
Okay.
But I would lock it up with like full disclosure, you know, and you can make somebody else the bad guy, you know, and be like, hey, listen, I don't know if my partner is going to approve this, but like, we can try. And if you're cool with me trying, then let's go ahead and get this contract signed. I'll run it up the flagpole to my partner and see if, you know, there's a chance after he inspects it that he's not going to like this thing. But if you're cool with that, then I'll do it. and then you send it to your buyer and see what he thinks.
Okay.
But with full disclosure, right? You're not going in there like, absolutely, we're going to buy this house from you. And then a week later being like, sorry, dude, we're going to cancel.
Well, when I called him and talked to him, I said, I'll have to call you back. I'm going to talk to my partner, see if it's going to be a deal or not a deal.
Yeah.
I'll get back with you tomorrow and we'll have another conversation about this.
Cool.
Because I was like, I don't really like, for Northwest Arkansas, not a lot of stuff's been selling in the Springdale area as much. And so I don't really know if there's any comps that would be, but this was an off-market property, so I was just trying to see just what can I do to get some education on what I'm doing, trying to talk to the person. If I mess it up, whatever.
There's nothing wrong with messing up.
Right.
Means you took action.
Oh yeah, trying to.
Yeah. Amazing. I love it. Let me know how it goes.
All right, will do.
Awesome. Okay, so a couple things. We had some chat came in. I missed some of it here. So Amanda, you asked turnaround time for stopping auctions. Actually had a long conversation with RTC this morning about this exact topic. They are short-staffed right now. And she basically told me, if you have anything less than 2 days before the auction, please keep it in-house. Don't even send it to me. Try and do it yourself because they work regular banker's hours and some banks are open late. Some banks are open on the weekends. So I, as a business owner, can make calls at 8 o'clock at night and continue to try and work on one of these deals. As the TC, she's not willing to do that because she's done at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever time she's done. Right. And she's just being honest. They don't work on weekends. So if the bank's open on Saturday morning, she's not calling for me on Saturday mornings. So she's saying essentially 2 days, don't even try it. We really prefer you have at least a week before an auction to give us a legit chance. That being said, today, the North Carolina deal, she worked on it. We're 4 business days out from that one, and it may have already gotten resolved today. I think it'll be done by tomorrow. So yeah, 1 to 2, very, very difficult. More than 2, the closer to a week you can get, the better off you're going to be. Over a week and you're golden. Okay, so Martinez, you want to go over auction.com. So I'm going to give you all my secrets now. Tell you exactly what we're doing. This is our house. This is our new North Carolina house right here. Hold on a second. Let me why is this not? I'm on the wrong thing here. Hold on.
So is that where we're gonna have our South accountability meetup?
Eventually, yeah. That'd be awesome. All right.
Bring your tools for the first one.
Yeah. Yeah, bring your tools, bring your friends' tools, bring everybody's tools. Yeah, this is the house here. You see opening bid, they have it set at $189,000 with an estimated resale of $628,000. The auction date is set for Wednesday, April 12th at 11 a.m. So what we're doing with these is all right, here I'll show you just in case anyone chats. I just close the chat, so I'm not going to see it. All right, so how can you guys use auction.com? We have built scrapers to automate this for us. So we don't manually do it anymore. But if you want to get a list, you do have to do it longhand. There's no like downloadable PDFs in here or anything like that. So you're going to go in one of 2 options. You can either search by state or by county. I do not recommend searching by town because I don't care how familiar you are with your local market. You're going to forget towns, right? And there's going to be too many anyway to go ahead and put in there. So let's go ahead and we're going to put in Jefferson County. And we're just going to click Jefferson County, Alabama, and you're going to see there are 78 properties currently on the auction list for Jefferson County, Alabama. Now, as we sort of alluded to earlier, these auctions have varying degrees of motivation. Okay. These folks who have an auction date scheduled for next week, for sometime between Monday and Wednesday next week. I don't know why they have it set this way, but they have a window of 3 days. No, actually, this is Sunday. The 9th is Sunday. Right? Or no, it's not. 7th, tomorrow's the 7th. Yeah, the 9th is that's weird. I don't know why they'd have it set as the 9th. Anyway, if you have the 9th and 10th, you are very highly motivated. This is literally the most highly motivated lead that exists in the market. They're going to lose their house on Monday, probably. Okay. It's probably too late to save them. But if you get them on the phone right now, if any of you have never talked to a motivated seller, call one of these people and get them on the phone. I promise you, you're going to have a conversation with a motivated seller. It's a different conversation than you've ever had before. Okay. You can literally hear the fear in their voice. You can hear the desperation in their voice. And you can also hear the second their mind shifts and they accept the fact that they have no options. It's crazy when you listen to it and you have these conversations with these people, because even with 3 days left before their auction, their guard is still up. And it's our job to go in there, and we have a series of questions that we ask when we go through. And honestly, we've literally had my partner Dave and I have had this conversation that we almost want to do a challenge where we bring someone in who has zero experience whatsoever in real estate, never been in sales, never been in real estate in their life. We want to bring them in. We want to see if we can do 10 deals with them, have them close 10 deals with us. Okay. And we know we can do it. So, because we don't like scripts, but we like, basically like a call flow. It's a series of questions you have to check off. And if you don't check these things off, you can't get off the call, because we can't underwrite the deal without these things checked off. And when you go through this list and you're going through and you get to like the third, fourth part down, and you get to the point where the seller will acknowledge that they have no options, you will literally hear the entire tonality of the call change. And that's when you have to be very, very cognizant as a salesperson, as a investor, as someone who's there to help, whatever hat you want to wear. You have to be cognizant when that happens. And this separates the good from the average at this. When you're good, you can pick up those cues and you take advantage of them. When that window opens just a little bit and that seller sighs a little bit, or you can tell the tone of their voice changes, and you dive in and go deeper on that one thing, that's when the entire call will change. And that's when the deal will happen. And it's there for every one of these things. It's hard to get these people on the phone, but when you do, that opportunity is there on every single one of these calls. We're on pace right now to basically get a deal per day from the auction list. So it's that powerful. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 78 properties. And like I said, right now, because you're not scraping them, you're going to have to manually do this. Okay. I did not mean to click on that, but you're going to manually do this. You're going to write down 7830 Fifth Avenue South, Birmingham, 35206. And the next one, this is tedious, right? But it's worth it. I promise you. You're going to write all these down, write all 78 down. And then you're going to go into Shelby County, right? If you work in Birmingham, you're going to work both these counties. So you're going to go into Shelby County and you're going to say, okay, Shelby County has only 9 right now on the chop block. Okay. So then you're going to write these 9 down. And now we have 87 properties. Doesn't sound like a lot. If you ever buy a list, you're never going to buy a list. It's only 87 properties, right? Go skip this list of 87 properties. Now, keep in mind, if you look here, April 11th, April 10th, April 18th, April 25th, the farther out you get, the lower the motivation level is. Okay. And we're testing this out right now. We're trying to figure out where the sweet spot is. we found that going 4 days out is insanely high motivation, but it might be too short to stop the auctions. So, like if you were to call this guy here on June 20th, there's very little motivation. Probably zero motivation. Oh, I got it handled. No, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. We're still over 2 months, 2.5 months out from this one losing the house. Okay, so even though we had 97, they're not all within the next handful of weeks that gives them true motivation. Okay, so you're gonna take these properties, you're gonna compile a list, and you're gonna find a skip trace provider that will allow you to skip trace a small list. And don't skimp on your skip trace provider for this list. It's too small of a list to try and skimp on your skip trace provider. Pay top dollar because you're only skipping 100 people. Okay, it doesn't matter how much they charge. You're only skipping 100 people. And then just start.
What are you guys using for skip tracing?
I don't do it.
I use Skip Genie's been really good for us.
Yeah, I don't. It's not my side of the business. Dave does it. I have no idea who we use.
Jeremy, I have a sort of different approach, and I want to get your thoughts on that. So we start communicating with these people and text blasting them as soon as it's recorded with the parish. So it's like maybe 3 months out, and then we just have them in our follow-up system. Do you think that that's a waste of time when we could just wait until they're 15 days, 10 days out and then start that? But we basically
I would like you to keep doing it at 3 months so that when I hit them at 7 days, they want to talk to me.
well, we should have it locked up by then.
I don't have I don't have a full answer on that for you. We're testing it. I can, last time we went after auctions heavy was really in the fall, and there was no motivation even for people who were losing their house in 3 days. Everyone still thought they got top dollar for their house because that was the state of the market at that time.
Yeah.
So we're finding this time around, it's a very, very different story. But I still think you need to have that urgency. I personally feel like the pre-foreclosure list is the worst list you can ever buy. Now, if you're getting it right from the county and it's the actual foreclosure data, then it's a different story. But if you're on like PropStream and you're buying a pre-foreclosure list, in my experience, that is an absolute waste of time. 99% of them are going to yell at you and tell you they've never missed a mortgage payment in their life.
Yeah, we're getting it straight from the county, but
yeah, you're getting as soon as the bank files.
Yeah, and we have our acquisitions guy basically kind of like coaching them a little bit. He's like, okay, have you asked for a loan mod, and like walks them through their options a little bit to kind of try to build that trust a little bit in the rapport. And then he's like, okay, well, try to do the loan mod first, and if they don't approve you, that's where we come in, and then we'd be able to take over your mortgage for you. And that's how we got the one we just did.
How long have you been doing auctions?
I mean, a month.
Okay.
Maybe 2, somewhere
Okay.
a month and a half.
And you got one contract from it?
2.
Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say that you need to shorten your window. You're hitting them too soon. If you're going for a month and a half or 2 months and you've gotten 2 contracts, there's no urgency there. It sounds counterintuitive, but let everybody else talk to these people and there's no urgency. I would stop wasting your time on it. Go where the urgency is, right? Pain creates deals. So there's enough out there that if you just get them a week or 2 weeks before the auction date and you can get them on the phone, there's a ton of urgency. Absolute boatload of it.
We're not doing a ton of volume though either, because
it's auctions.
We're focused on Baton Rouge and not the hood. So there's not that many.
That's the problem with auctions, which is why we're in 20 states.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Hey, Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Hey, can you hear me all right? It's
Yeah,
Jeremiah.
absolutely. Yep.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, I'm in the car. Hey, how do you stage your conversation with them at that point? Are you just kind of blunt about it and calling it what it is because they're like 4 days out, 5 days out? Or are you
Yes.
still using some tact and diplomacy?
No. So, all right. I use tactful honesty. It's kind of brutal honesty, right? But like I said, I want to get them to the point where it's their idea and they are the ones that acknowledge I don't have any other options. Because it can never be your idea, right? It has to be their idea. And until it's their idea, they're never going to believe you. So we're leading them down like, okay, well, do you like, when you're 5 days out from the auction, you only have so many options. Okay. Well, we know you just showed me your mortgage statement, and the mortgage statement says that your arrears are $15,000. Do you have that? No. Okay. Do you know someone who can give you that money before tomorrow? No. Okay. So then we've already established that you have no way to pay your arrears. That was literally the only option you had to stop the auction. Okay. Yeah, I guess so. All right. Well, then now what are you going to do? I guess I'm going to lose the house. Okay. Well, then let's talk about how we can not lose the house. Or how we can lose it, or how we can not let the bank win. Right. And then go down that road. Here's what we do as a business. We've already established that your options for you staying in the house have expired. So we're going to make the best of a bad situation here. We're going to let you go out on your terms rather than the bank's terms. And this is what it can look like. And then we'll kind of briefly explain, their mortgage and taking over the mortgage sub two, briefly dance around that. But ultimately what we're trying to do is just get a contract signed. Because you're not trying to sign a sub two contract anyway. It's irrelevant. You have to get a cash contract signed so you can get it to the bank. Do not ever sign a sub two contract and submit it to the bank. Terrible idea. Bank's been pretty pissed about that one.
Yeah. So you I like that. You lean into them, have a tactful but honest conversation to help paint the picture. So, basically they subscribe to their own pain and then you become their ally.
Yes. Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Because ultimately we're just there to help them get through this. Right. The way I like to say it to my team is, we're holding their hand through this process. And this process with some people will result in me buying the house, and others it will result in them saving their own house. And sometimes, unfortunately, it will result in the bank still getting the house.
Yeah.
We literally had all three of those happen to us this week.
Wow.
I coached a homeowner for 3 days through, he was like on the phone, shaking, practically crying, coached him through it for 3 days, and he managed to, at the last minute, he didn't even know. It was literally the day of the auction, and auction.com updated and canceled the auction. And I texted him, I said, dude, you did it. The auction's canceled. And he's like, what? How do you know? And I was like, I shot him the picture, and he's like, oh my God, I can cry right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
And I made $0 from that.
What do you do with it?
But what I'm gonna get from him is a testimonial.
He caught it up.
He had the money. He had $15,000. He called one of his buddies, and his buddy wired money into his account. He had 10 of it. His buddy wired him another 5, and he paid his arrears. But he couldn't get.
You would think about you just kind of indirectly hired a bird dog.
Yeah, exactly.
That dude's gonna anytime he runs into real estate
auctions is. That's the way this whole business is, right? Like I any of you that have been on these calls before, I say the same thing all the time. Like, we just do the things, right? Whatever your things are, we just do the things. And if you do the things enough times, good things happen, right? Sometimes we do all the things and we don't get the deal. And other times we do all the things and we get the deal. So we just do all the things all the time, or as many times as we can. And we hope that, tomorrow comes and we're still in business and we're still helping people, So one last thing on this, Dave and I had a really cool conversation this week. Dave and I have been business partners now for almost 2.5 years. And we always have goals, right? Everyone in business, whether you have a partner or not, everyone in business has goals. And our goals have always been sort of similar. It's been like, hey, we want to make this much money by this quarter. We want to have this many houses. We want to have this much cash flow, whatever it is. Everyone has similar types of goals, right? It's always like either a money goal or an asset goal or something like that. And we came to the realization this week, and I said, listen, I want to reassess and reestablish our goals in our business. It's not for me anymore. It's not about money, because the money will come. Our new goal is I want to save 100 people from foreclosure this year. That's our official goal for our company this year.
I love that.
Yeah, it's powerful. Like when you realize like that's what we're doing, it's really cool. It's really cool. So, all right. Anybody have any more questions? Martinez, was that a decent enough walkthrough for you with auction? Do you understand that a little bit better now? Cool. All right. Anybody else have any questions?
Hey, Jeremy, when you're doing the foreclosure or the auction stuff, do you ever, in some of your conversations with these people, ever offer to help them find another home or anything like that?
You got to be really careful what you promise people, right? Especially when we're talking about short time frames. You got a week to save an auction. That's conversation's not coming up. It's just not. I will always ask, where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Because that, believe it or not, like that, if you ask that question early enough, that will get them to mentally commit that that's their only option. They're leaving. Right. And you'll be shocked how many people tell you, I have absolutely no idea. Which is bonkers because they've been getting mail from the bank for months. You had to have known this date was going to come eventually, and you made no plans. So, yeah, I try not to offer them solutions because if I can't perform on that, and if I say, hey, I might have a house and I don't get it, and they were hoping that they were relying on my house, I don't want to do that to them. Especially not when they've got 4 days till their auction. You're going to live with a family member, most likely, or a friend.
Definitely make sure they have a place though, because we are just had to give a 5-day notice to somebody who we bought their house up to from. So
yeah,
we might have to evict them.
That's terrible. Yeah.
Yeah, the only reason I brought that question up is because of what I've listened to in the nightly and daily dial, where people are sometimes saying, hey, if I give you such and such money, will that help you get into another place, type of thing?
Different conversation. Yeah. We have we had that conversation today as a team. The reason we had that exact conversation was we were trying to set the expectation for our acquisitions guy of when it's okay to have that conversation. He was bringing it up a little too early in the conversation when it's irrelevant. When it comes to stopping an auction, how much cash I'm putting in your pocket is irrelevant.
Right.
We're not ready to talk about that until you've already acknowledged that I'm your solution. Let's stop the auction. Let's figure that part out. And then don't worry, I'm going to do the right thing. If the deal makes sense and I can put some money in your pocket so you can pay a moving company to come and you can put first and last down on an apartment or whatever, yeah, we're going to do the right thing. Don't worry about that. But right now, the clock is ticking. We literally have 6 hours to talk to the bank before it's up. So that's why it came up for us. So just be careful if you're talking to auctions, that is not a priority.
Well, I mean, would that be something you would say after you got it under contract?
Yes.
Type of thing?
I'm not gonna offer it. You'll have a pretty dang good vibe because your conversation, like if your seller the entire time is like, I don't have a dime to my name. If I'm gonna be homeless if this happens, like I had a guy recently tell me that, like I'm going to literally die on the street if I lose my house. And it's like, even a couple grand's not gonna help that.
Right.
Right. So
It will to an extent. It'll get them out of your house and make it someone else's problem. Like,
but if I didn't buy it and the bank took it,
yeah,
right? Like that's,
yeah,
you're still gonna be homeless.
yeah.
So we can't help everybody. We can try the best we can to help as many people as possible. We just can't help everybody.
Yeah, my guy went to a house today that flooded in 2016, and the people are still living there, and it's been gutted. It doesn't have like toilets or showers or anything. It has tarps attached to the studs.
Does it have running
Crazy.
water though?
He's not sure. It does have electricity because they had a TV,
Wow. Okay.
but they don't have walls or toilets.
I'm not sure which one's worse. I had a guy who, it was a pretty enough house, but he was living there for a couple of years with no power and no water.
Yeah.
It smelled interesting in there.
Yeah. And she wanted to walk away with 40 grand plus she owed 87 and it was worth like 200 fixed up, fully gutted. So like
Probably not gonna work.
Yeah, I don't know how you're gonna get that. Even at the payoff amount, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So good luck.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's
He's like, how can we help her? I was like, honestly, man, I don't think there's anything we can do. Her best bet's a short sale. But she thinks that she can get 40 grand. So she's not
Yeah.
going to do that.
Yeah. That's
Crazy. People are crazy, man.
And once you understand that, it all makes sense.
Some of it. You have to
I guess. Yeah.
you just have to try to think what they're thinking and figure out how
Don't do
they're
that.
approaching it.
Yeah, don't do that. There's definitely a saying in this business, don't put your head in your seller's head. Keep it that way. Amanda, you asked, does auction.com pull from different auction sites? Auction.com actually gets their data from counties, and auction.com actually runs most of the auctions. If you go to like Zillow and you type in any property that's under auction, it will say auction being run by auction.com. You can go on auction.com and you can bid on the properties, or you can go to the county courthouse and bid in person. But auction.com's data is pretty dang good. It's not 100% accurate, at least it's what the sellers tell me, but it's pretty darn good.
There's a different site that has a lot of places around here, so that's why I was asking that. I didn't know if it was kind of pulled from him, but I'd have to pull up my computer right now. But yeah, there's a different website.
We had some on Hubzu for a while. I haven't looked at it in a long time though.
No, yeah, I can't remember what it was. There's like two main ones I feel like around here that have almost all of them. But when I just pulled up the auction.com, it actually had one of the listings that I had looked at last week. So maybe I'll have to look back into it. I wonder if it's like a daughter company or something of auction.com.
Yeah, I don't know. I am curious. I wonder how many auctions we're missing that aren't on auction.com, because we're only pulling from auction.com.
Sheriff Sales is a good one.
That's the website?
Sheriff
Or you mean
Sales.com.
like, is it sheriffsales.com?
Yeah,
I haven't been on that site.
it's a good one. I use it. I haven't actually succeeded in a deal, but that's how I find what I have found, and I've gotten 3 almost to the finish line.
What stopped them? Do you think you know?
One of them, I'm not sure what happened on the bank side. My escrow agent failed to get the bank to stop the auction, which actually was yesterday.
How many days advance notice did they have?
The bank should have had 2 or 3 weeks, like 15 business days.
From the time that
Before.
did you have a TC working on it, or did you just have an escrow agent doing it?
It's a title company. It was her name was Katie Green. She works with Proland Title.
Yeah.
She says she was an escrow officer or agent, something like that.
Okay, so just a tip for future deals, hire a TC for that. Okay, it's gonna cost you $1,000, but hire a transaction coordinator, because if you had 3 weeks to stop an auction, you should stop 100% of auctions if you have 3 weeks. There's
Okay.
absolutely no way. If you have 1 week, you should stop 100% of auctions. Yeah, 3 weeks, that escrow agent didn't know what they were doing. And because what happens, Amanda knows this obviously, because she was a TC. In order to do this, the TC's job when they're stopping auctions, you're literally on the phone all day with the bank. And this will go on for multiple days. So I guarantee your escrow agent wasn't doing that. They're probably making one call. The bank said, okay, great, thank you. Call us back in 3 days. They call back in 3 days. Absolutely nothing happened. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Call us next week. They call next week. Nothing happened. The bank's great at deflecting and putting you off, because ultimately they want the auction to happen. So you need a TC who's going to call and sit there on hold for hours, or hang up, call back and get a different agent at the bank till they find one who's helpful, and then escalate to their manager and do all the things to get an answer and get somebody to acknowledge they received a contract and get someone to stop it and do all those things. But a week's notice is all you need to stop an auction. There's no way it should fail in 3 weeks. So learning lesson there. You should have gotten that deal.
Lesson learned. Would have
Yep.
been my first assignment.
Yeah, man. You won't miss one of those again.
Sure
Hey,
won't.
Jared,
Yeah.
is there a difference between the bank owned and the foreclosure?
Yeah, bank owned is bank owned. It already went through foreclosure. You don't want those.
Okay.
Can't do anything with those. I've actually sent them text messages, and it's funny. One of them responded. We didn't mean to, but they were on our list, and one of them responded, and they said, "This isn't Dave. This is Rocket Mortgage." I was like, all right, cool, thanks.
You guys do some teas?
Yeah.
We'll make your non-performing loan performing.
Right. Yeah, guys, if you this is probably not going to go anywhere, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. If any of you guys happen to know a TC, I know Amanda, you probably do, but we are probably going to be hiring. I say probably, I mean we're definitely going to be hiring a TC in our business, because we're just spending too much money on TCs. It makes sense to bring it in house. $1,000 a transaction. Yeah, we're going to be hiring a TC in the near future, so we will need to be on the lookout for someone who has TC training and wants to do that. All right, who else has anything? Nobody. All right. All right, then yeah, if nobody else got anything, it's 9:47, 9:48 now. We can certainly call it a night. So thank you all for coming on tonight. And if you guys have anything, you need anything, you know where to find me. Hopefully we'll see you guys. Oh, you know what? I will not see you guys next week. For the first time in like 2.5 years, I think, I will not see you guys next week. I will be in Puerto Rico on vacation. So
Nice.
I don't know whether there will be a call or not. If anybody, I mean, this is an open Zoom. If anybody wants to come on next Thursday night at 8 o'clock, by all means, come on and talk amongst yourselves, but I will not be here.
Cool.
All right, everyone have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you guys in 2 weeks.
Sounds
Peace.
good.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, guys.
Later.
See ya.